bunch of them. Okay.
I understand.
So don't flinch here. The deal is that they don't cash flow. All of mine are paid for, and some of them with repairs and vacancies don't hardly make money. So when you don't get a renter for 4 months, or one doesn't pay for 3 months, or you put in a heat and air system that's $14,000, or you have to put on a roof because it's leaking, and you got to pay property taxes and insurance, even if it's paid for, you don't get a ton of cash flow unless you manage the property extremely well and you buy it cheap. So this idea that the payment versus the rent is the cash flow is a naive formula and an incomplete formula. When you run an actual operating statement on an investment property, you have all these other expenses, including loss due to non-payment and vacancy and legal costs while you evict the people that didn't pay, and all the repairs and all the stuff you didn't think of when you had this idea that you saw on the internet, I want to buy a rental house. So all that to say, I definitely wouldn't buy more than one, and you're not even going to like this. I wouldn't even buy one right now until you have the money. I'd pay cash for it or I wouldn't do it. I love real
Um,
estate. No,
I think Dave Ramsey is definitely correct when he's talking about a lot of these unforeseen expenses, vacancies, repairs, tenants of all natures, market rate, Section 8. They all do wear and tear on your units, which just causes you to come out of a pocket to pay for these expenses, and a lot of that stuff can be charged back to the tenants. And most of the time, that stuff gets paid when they leave. But he's right, right? You barely cash flow, but I'm still under the premise that I would not pay $275,000 cash for a rental property unless I was just trying to store up cash. But David talked about risk, right? He talked about the more debt, the more risk. The more debt, the less cash flow. But there's also a risk of you having too much equity in a project, which on a downturn, right? We know properties are based off valuations, and they're usually geographic specific. And so when markets start to depreciate, your equity starts to depreciate as well too. And so for me, I would rather have a larger debt position, smaller cash flow, and ride the equity onto an upside of appreciation versus having too much equity, 100% equity, and then in case of a downturn market, my equity gets depreciated because houses start selling for less in my neighborhood. And so now my $275,000 is now worth $200,000 just because the market hit a downturn. And so that's my 2 cents on it.